By popular demand, Renee Landers is back. And last time she joined us on the Honest channel, Renee shared her remarkable transformation from someone who struggled with back pain in her 50s to becoming the super fit competitive bodybuilder she is at 73. And it was such an inspiring conversation, and we've linked it below if you haven't already watched or listened. But today we're exploring another aspect of Renee's transformation. You're going to hear how Renee is living her best life in her 70s, traveling the world, often solo, constantly pushing herself out of her comfort zone and saying yes to new adventures. We'll also catch up on her strength journey and healthy lifestyle and the progress she's making. Renee's story is proof it's never too late to get stronger or to live a more joyful and adventurous life. And I can't wait for you to hear how she's making it happen. Renee, it is so good to see you again. I just loved our conversation last time. It really was one of my favorites. So I'm very glad that you came back to talk to us again. Thank you so much.
Well, Claire, thank you so much for inviting me back. I was just thrilled to have this opportunity again. I had been watching some of your podcasts not long before you reached out, and I loved everything about your dad and how he's lifting weights. Your parents, it's like you're making big strides, and that is so cool, and it's exciting for me to see that happening. So thanks for sharing that too.
Well, you were actually really a part of what started that journey because talking to you and seeing what you were able to achieve in your 70s planted a big seed because I always had obviously myself in my 50s, but I had my parents in mind a lot. What is the best thing for them? How can they get the most out of life? So I was already thinking then, I wonder, if they should maybe be working out with weights or trying something like that. And then, of course, I interviewed a physical therapist, a strength trainer, and that discussion really cemented it for me. I thought this is something we should be doing. It was something that I was prepared to do, and I spoke to my parents about it. They watched the interview with you as well, and just the whole thing came together. And it was like, yeah, this is something that we should all try and try and get the most out of life for as long as we possibly can, which is
Mhm.
really something you are leading the way in, and we're going to talk about today. I mean, last time we kind of talked through what was a remarkable transformation, really, from someone who had really been struggling with back pain in midlife
Mhm.
to becoming a super fit competitive bodybuilder in your 70s. And I bet you could never have imagined that when you were going through that low point in your life, that now
No,
you
I
would be
couldn't have.
living so
Mhm.
full and fabulously. Today, we're going to touch a little bit on that, but I wanted to just tap into how you are living your best life in your 70s, because I see you doing so much and you're so inspiring on that front. Let's start just now with going back to that strength training regimen. Have things changed much since we last spoke, or what does your typical week look like on that front?
Things haven't changed that much, except I'm probably working out more consistently than I did last
Mhm.
time. I'm going to be competing in 8 weeks again. This will be my 14th show,
Wow,
but I have
amazing.
pretty much continued with lifting weights about 5, maybe 6 days a week. If I'm not competing, 4 to 5 days. Going to the gym is just part of my day often.
Yeah.
So I would not for everyone. It's not that they have to do that, but that has just become part of my lifestyle. Of course, I am retired now and I have the luxury of being able to do that. But there were years when I was a single mom working a small business where, I just squeezed it in, but I did it because I just felt this was what I needed to preserve my health for later years in life. So I have a regular routine. I'm a very routine type person. I think that's part of the discipline that makes things easier, really. So I do. I get up, I have my breakfast, do my things around the house, and then I usually go to the gym somewhere around 10 to 11ish, something like that. I meet my trainer 2 days a week now, and I work out by myself the rest of the time. I'm fortunate to still have that same trainer after 13 years. So I'm thrilled that Dustin's still helping me with that. And of course, what I eat is so important still. And, that's my 5 small meals a day that all include protein. I cannot stress enough about how important lifting weights is. You may remember I used to be a runner a long time ago before my back surgery, and that was never going to be enough. I just didn't know it then. But after my surgery and getting into lifting weights, I just realized how critical it is to lift those weights.
I bet they love you at your gym. I bet you know everybody there.
I know a lot of them, and of course, I'm one of the oldest ones there. But I think they're curious about me more than anything else, and I have made friends with some of them too. So I enjoy going. I think that's the main thing, and I'm not intimidated. I mean, the row of the
Mm.
weights with the guys. I mean, I'm like, of the 10% women that are over there lifting the weights. But I don't care. It doesn't bother me, and I don't really pay attention to what other
Yeah.
people think about me anyway.
I hear a lot from viewers that that is the thing that puts them off. And obviously, we have a setup in our own home. But I can just imagine, when I was at the gym, I used a few of the machines, but I never really went near that kind of big lifting section where you'd
Hmm.
get the big guys who'd be like slamming the bars down on the
Hmm.
floor and grunting, and it was
Uh-huh.
intimidating. So yeah, it's pe people have to kind of get past that to go and try it out for themselves.
True. And I put my ear pods in and my music, and then I just tune all that out. I really do. But I
Yeah.
realize it could be intimidating, especially for women, especially for anyone starting out. But I see all kinds of people in the gym. I see, skinny people, I see huge people. But I respect every one of those people because they are over there trying to do something about their health. And that's what I would say to people who are scared to go.
Yeah.
You're entitled just as much as anybody else. And honestly, most people are so focused on themselves, they're not even going to look at anyone else. So you shouldn't even worry about that. That's just the truth. Go kind of having an idea of what your routine's going to be, on your iPhone, you can have it or whatever, or a piece of paper, whatever. So I would just say those are some of the critical things to do to get yourself to the gym. Of course, you got it at home. That's cool, but the machines often help the gym machines that we don't
Mm.
all have the luxury of having at home.
And last time we spoke, you said, you didn't lift that heavy. Is that still the case? What kind of weights are you lifting these days?
Actually, I'm still not lifting that heavy. I do some of the machines I lift heavier, like the lateral pull down machine. I mean, I'm doing like
Mm,
80 pounds. That's still not that
mm,
super heavy, but this
mhm.
has been over time a progression. But if you look
Yeah.
at my videos too, the heaviest dumbbells I'm lifting would be 15, 17, 20 pounds. Now you'll have to,
Yeah.
compute that in metrics, but still not that heavy. And that's even right before
Yes.
I'm going to compete. And that's what I would tell people. Uh, don't be thinking you've got to lift super heavy. Although increasing the weight, the progressive overload is what helps your muscles grow. And that's gonna help our
100%.
bones and everything. So that's why we should do that. If you're just going like this 20 times, you need to increase your weights because it's too easy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but not to a point where you're going to injure yourself.
Last time I didn't ask you about supplements, and I had a few viewers that said, "Hey, you forgot to ask. Do you take supplements? What do you use?"
I don't take many supplements. I've kind of come up with a formula that works for me. And one of the
Hmm.
number one things I take that I believe in is creatine. And that would be if
Yes.
anybody was going to say, I can only afford to add one supplement, or I'm too lazy to add more supplements. Creatine would be the supplement I would add. And the studies now have shown that it can even help, your brain if you take enough. Now, it's a supplement that you have to ease into, but starting out with 5 grams a day is kind of it. And I actually have this concoction that's on my Instagram. A gallon of water a day is how I, plan my day. And I mix all this stuff in a gallon jug, and I put 5 grams of creatine. I put some vitamin C and electrolytes. Those are my three things, but you could add anything to that. So I would just say creatine is the number one. you can do your research and find out it's been around for over 40 years, and it was developed originally for muscle wasting in elderly people so long ago,
Yeah.
but very few people know that. Now it's become popular, but it's definitely not for bodybuilders. And I mean, I have finally gotten some of my girlfriends that are my age who don't work out to start using it, and it's inexpensive. That's the other thing. I mean, I have one
Yes.
jar that I've had for over a year. It probably costs less than 20 or 25 bucks for a big jar of this stuff. So that's
Yeah.
naked creatine on Amazon, but there's a million kinds. So creatine would be the number one. And then, as I said, I also take calcium. I do a chewable calcium, magnesium chewable, some vitamin D. Now, protein, I do have some protein powder. I don't really consider that a supplement, but it may be. To me, it's protein. So I consider that my
Hmm.
protein. But those are the main things. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but really, those are my critical things.
That sounds really sensible.
Of course, I'm on hormone replacement therapy, as we discussed before. So I
Hmm.
am getting a
Hmm.
teensy dose from prescribed by the doctors, of testosterone and estradiol. Those are the two. But some people do progesterone, also women. That I feel is the other thing that has made a huge difference for me, being that I've done it for 13 years since I was 60. And I feel like that's continuing to sustain me and give me, my vibrance and whatever else. So I feel like that's a big deal too. I don't consider that a supplement. That's one of my medications, but that and I'm
Yeah.
only on two other prescribed meds, omeprazole because I have a little bit of reflux, and I do take a
Hmm.
supplement for my hair. I mean, I take a prescription. I take minoxidil. And you've heard of the minoxidil
Okay.
that you put on your scalp. Well, this is an oral tablet. I mean, I've got pretty good hair, but there was a time when my hair was falling out when I first competed, and I went to my dermatologist and she prescribed the oral minoxidil pill. I'm pretty frugal, so I like to not spend a lot of money on lots of things that might not be necessary, but other people may have other stuff, but those are the things that work for me.
You mentioned NAD there, and a few people, their ears might have pricked up. Are you taking some kind of injection or a supplement to boost NAD levels, or
I took it for a while. I'm not taking, there was a supplement, but I'm not taking that now. I'm not saying it's not a good thing,
yeah.
but I'm taking the injections. I mean, I have looked at peptides. I mean, those are something that sound interesting too. I'm still learning
Hmm.
about them. There's a lot of push for that right now. And, it's like maybe the latest trend in, anti-aging or whatever.
Yeah.
And I tend to hold back rather than jump into that stuff. So I'm looking at it,
Yes.
and I'm holding off a little bit before I decide if I'm going to do it. Oh, there is one other thing that I take. Well, it's collagen peptides. It's vital
Hmm.
proteins, collagen peptides. That's just a powder that seems to supplement your nails and your hair. So I take that too. But read about it. You should be sure to hydrate. You have to introduce it slowly so you don't have any, gut issues or anything like that.
No, that is a good and well evidenced routine that you've got going there. That makes a lot of sense. I wondered, with your strength and doing the competitions and so on, how big a part that plays in your lifestyle now? I mean, what do you think your life would look like if you had never gone into that gym and started doing what you're doing?
I think it would be a lot different than it is now. I think I would have still been trying to be fit, I mean, after surgery. I just think that I got what I needed when I started lifting weights. I mean, I feel just fortunate because it just opened me up. It gave me more confidence in my 60s, at a time when lots of people are declining and they're feeling old and they're feeling more isolated. I feel like that was the beginning. And then when I started competing, that really opened up things. So I'd say that was my next big thing that changed my life a lot.
That's the sense that I get about you, that really, as you began to become stronger, the confidence really started to grow, and then taking the plunge and doing that first competition, which you spoke about so beautifully last time, donning that sparkly bikini. It was like your nemesis. How can I do this? And you did it. And I always say to my mum, the next thing, you're going to have to get a sparkly bikini on and start doing some bodybuilding competitions.
It's possible she could do it.
And
That's
dad
right.
could put a little sparkly thong on and he could
Oh,
compete
he
too, you
could.
know? I mean,
He'd be the hit of the a competition.
I know. Do you think though that competing has it influenced? I mean, you now very impressively travel all around the world on your own. And do you think you'd be doing that if you hadn't stepped into that competitive arena and done what you've done?
I don't believe I would have because I've traveled a lot with friends, and once I think I went to a Club Med by myself. That's not a hard thing. That was like eons ago before I had Garrett, and my son is 40 now. Um, but in general, I was always waiting for someone else to go do things with, to travel with, to cruise with. As I got more confident, I felt like I was missing out because I wanted to go. I had the time, I had the funds, but I wasn't getting to go places because my friends weren't doing it. It's like, can you do this? No, I'm busy, or I've got
Mm,
plans that week or what. So I was getting a lot of no's, but I wanted to travel. So the bodybuilding competitions helped build my confidence and helped me stretch my comfort zone. I like to say, it can be scary, but do it scared, do it anyway. And that's really what competitions were to me. It was doing it scared. And once I did the first one, although I'm not saying anyone needs to compete, you don't have to compete. That's just the springboard for me that made the difference. When I realized that there are other people who think like me, this mindset, and that when I say I found my people at 69 years old, after I competed in a bodybuilding show, that's what I mean. We had the same mindset. And
mm,
really, mindset is everything. That's what helps you do whatever you're going to do. That's what helps you have your everyday life, your lifestyle. And so my mindset changed a lot after that when I realized, gee, I did this and it was scary, and I can't wait to do it again. And that's really what happened over the past few years as I have done more competitions. And last year, I
mhm,
flew to the UK and I did a competition there in Milton Keynes last September. I bought a one-way ticket to London, from the Euston to London, to compete in that show. And I had friends on the flight with me, and we all competed together. And then they flew back home, and I was determined that I was not going back home. I was going to travel around, even if I was by myself. And I was by myself in the beginning of that trip. And I feel like that's the next thing that happened to me that just was a huge shift. It's like I actually met other people, some of my friends from Italy, and they helped me plan my trip to my next places in Italy. I discovered how cool it was to travel by myself. And it was amazing. I was so fortunate. I actually met friends from Instagram, just like we're talking now, that I would never have done anything with. One of my girlfriends that I was on Instagram in Italy, she flew to Italy and helped me travel around. She gave me some
mm.
ideas. So I got to do these cool things that I would never get to do. So that was really an experience. It's like now, I don't even know if I want other people to travel with me because it's so much fun to do it on your own. And I ended up on another trip because my girlfriend that I met through Angel Competition Bikinis invited me to her 50th birthday party, which was last April. And she lives in Qatar, or Qatar, however you pronounce it. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to your birthday party. But on the way, I'm going to take a trip to get there. And that's what I did. 27 days of a solo trip. I did this little Italy road trip with my girlfriend. And where did we end up? Oh, and we went to Greece. And in Greece, I got on a ship. And for 10 days, I
Hmm.
cruised around Greece. And then I got on a plane and I flew to Dubai. And I spent time with friends in Dubai that I had never met. They invited me to stay in their home. So for 2 nights, I stayed in Dubai with another girlfriend who was a bodybuilder from Instagram. But the main thing is that I stayed with strangers and they welcomed me, and I felt so excited about it. I still can't believe I've done it. So it
It's
has, it's really empowered me. And it's the power of yes. I want to tell you that is what it is. Saying yes to things can make all the difference in the world. I'm flabbergasted sometimes at the things that I'm getting to do that most people in their 70s are too afraid to do, would never imagine to do. So I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I mean, I get so excited talking about it, but yeah, anything's possible and there's no age limit.
Well, you say people in their 70s might feel afraid to do it. I mean, that would be a big thought for me when you were talking about going to stay with strangers. You know, the older we get, sometimes the smaller our lives can get, you know, and we get more set in our ways and we like our comforts, and you're really shattering that. I mean, people will be thinking that they just can't imagine, you know, what they do at dinner. You go on a cruise. I've seen all your clips on Instagram, and I just love to see it. Oh, there's Renee off on her travels, and it's so liberating. You know, I can feel that liberation for you. Um, but I mean, what does that look like when you're on the cruise and you go up to dinner and then there's a dance? I've seen you out there on the cruises dancing, and how does that go when you're on your own? You just meet people, you start talking to people.
To me, it makes me more open whenever I go alone. Last Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving in last November, I did a cruise by myself because I have a small family, my son, one son, and they all had plans, and I didn't want to be sitting home, pining over, oh, nobody loves me sort of thing. So I just planned to do that. I planned ahead, and that's important too. I just looked for what was going on as I would normally do, and I participated when I was comfortable doing it. And I eased into it. And that's the thing people should know. Don't feel like you got to jump into this, wholeheartedly and do everything. You just ease into it. Uh, but you're getting out of your comfort zone whenever you are used to doing it by when you're used to being alone. So I would just suggest to people to not give up on that possibility, because we miss out on a lot of travel because other people aren't doing it. And there are lots of so like on Facebook, there's a lot of us solo travelers who get together, and there are, different Facebook groups. And I think that's
Mm.
another thing to do. Look at these different groups and see if you can jump in and talk and participate. And that also strengthens your confidence that you can do it yourself. But it has become it's one of my favorite
Yeah,
ways to travel,
100%.
although not my only way to travel. I feel like you get a little sampler platter of countries. That's what I like to say about cruises.
I mean, lots of opportunities that you were seeking out for yourself. I mean, through what you're doing and through your Instagram account and so on, are there other opportunities opening up? What kind of things are you being asked to do and go along to?
Well, I have been invited on lots more podcasts because of getting out there. Um, Now, I guess one thing is I do get sent lots of products to try, which you probably do too. Um,
Hmm.
so I would say that's one thing. I'm not like making tons of money doing this. I mean, I'm not, since I'm not trying to build a bunch of, income from this. I stay away from some things. But what it has done for me is just realize that the world is your oyster, and that would be the biggest thing I think it's done for me. I mean,
Yeah.
haven't been invited to be in a TV series or anything like that.
You don't get asked to go along to events and so on locally. I mean, I never do either. Being in Edinburgh, Scotland,
Hmm.
I never get invited to anything. But I just
Hmm.
wondered if there were some things that had come up along the way that,
Not really. Now, there's a woman who invited me on her podcast who's pretty well known in Texas. Her name's Dominique Saxa. I don't know if you know Dominique or not, but she was a newscaster in Houston for many years. And now and she's just a lovely person. And she did invite me
yeah,
on her it's over 50 and flourishing podcast. She's awesome, she's adorable, and she did see me on Instagram, and she made some comment about, in fact it was from my 73rd birthday post that I made, which is still going around. And she said something on my podcast, and I thought, well, I know her. golly, she's a famous TV broadcaster. And anyway, as it turns out, she invited me to be on her podcast, and that's going to air soon. And it's over 50 and flourishing. It's all about being over 50 and how you're still living your life. And I mean, I'm living mine another 20 something years after. So
I wondered as well, with you being such a positive, vibrant person, if you have any, mindfulness or spiritual practices that kind of help keep you in a good mindset and adventurous frame of mind, or whether you're a religious person or what that looks like, what that side of life looks like for you.
that's a good question because it's really about keeping your mindset positive. And
Mm,
the biggest thing I do, I mean, I'm not good at meditation. Okay, I'm gonna say
me
that.
neither.
But every morning I actually I've been listening to some YouTube stuff. Joe Dispenza, you may know who he is.
Oh
He's a
yeah, he's
he's a big
great.
meditation guy. So
Mm,
I will just turn on some of his stuff in the morning, maybe before I get out of bed, and I'll try to spend 10 minutes, getting my mind straight through some of that. And that's probably the most that I do, honestly. Now, I think you can meditate while you're on a walk. There are all kinds of ways to get your mind straight.
mm,
And I feel like I just try to be grateful. That's the big thing, being grateful. And I have signs around about being grateful because I am so fortunate and I am so grateful that I get to live this life. And
mm.
of course we're going to get down, we're going to have terrible moments. It's going to happen. It's life. And experience it, feel it, and just remember that tomorrow's going to be better. Dig deep. That's what I say. Dig deep
Mm.
whenever you're down. um I think every one of us has that same power to thrive and to live life big, whatever you want to call
Mm.
it, and stay positive. I mean, whatever the negative happens in your life, I mean, turn it around. My mother was big on being positive despite the challenges. And I just feel like thinking positive, the glass half full, is going to bring so much more into our lives than the glass half empty.
Yeah,
And whatever you give is what you're going to get. Whatever you put out there is what you're going to get back. And I try to put out positive vibes. I believe so much in energy, and it's just we are energy. And so keep putting out those positive vibes. Smile at people, that's free. Compliment people, that's free. And you'll get good stuff back whenever you put out the good stuff.
I'm a real believer in energy as well, actually. And I mean, I notice if I'm having a down day or an irritable day, things just tend to go wrong on those days. And on the ones where you're upbeat and everything's happening and you're positive, I mean, that's when the kind of opportunities start coming up and so on. And do you get low energy days, where you're just, you're demotivated, and or are you somebody who really can just soldier on every day and get yourself back up there?
I do have my down days. I don't have too many of them. I mean, really,
Mm,
I don't have too many of them. Um, but when I have them, I kind of dwell in it because, you've got, if you need to have a little pity party, that's
hmm.
okay. If I need to take a long nap or be alone or cry, whatever, just do that. And that's kind of cathartic, just doing it. But I try to change my mindset. Get outside. That's another place. Not everybody can get outdoors all the time, but even if it's cold, get out there because it's invigorating. And the earth has so much energy in it. You probably heard of grounding where you go
Mm.
barefoot in the grass and that gives you energy. So maybe try to do a few things that might help your energy. And definitely not drinking alcohol or doing drugs. I would just say those are the worst things you can do. Although you might think they are the best things when you're down, that's about the worst thing. So I would stay away from that stuff. And I'm not saying that no alcohol, but in general, I stay away from it because
Mm.
it's only going to bring me down more. So get out, walk in the grass with your bare feet, enjoy the sun and whatever's going on outside. Of course, people have all kinds of depression and things like that, clinical depression. Those are real. But I would just say in general that that you can overcome a lot of this stuff just by mind control. Your mindset makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and on those down days, because I mean, I can be a little bit up and down at the moment just with the hormonal changes. My stage in life, 52, I'm right in the thick of it. And it's, it's not too bad for me, but I'm very alert to changes. And so I can just be very aware when I'm not quite right. And walking. It really helps every single time. It does change your energy just to get out in the fresh air, like you say. That's really the biggest trick for me is to do that. And sometimes when you're down and feeling sluggish, that's when you resist, which is the great thing about having a dog.
Hmm.
You just have to get
Hmm.
out there anyway. But you
That's
can
true.
you can definitely change the
Hmm.
energy of your day just by getting out there. And like you say with alcohol, I've noticed that since cutting back on alcohol, because I was never really well, I did at some points in my life when I was younger, but in recent years I would have just had one or two glasses with a meal, but every weekend. So I had obviously built up some tolerance because I stopped drinking completely, really, because nobody else in my house does. And then from time to time, I'll have a glass. And when I have that glass, I think, oh, I don't know if I can ever drink again. It's so powerful. Just, I'll feel kind of bloated and hot and stuffy nosed. And you think, gosh, it's not, this is powerful stuff. And you only realize it when you kind of clean out your system and then having one, you're like, wow, yeah, that's a lot.
Hmm. I agree. I'm amazed at when I have had a glass of wine at night, the next day, my face feels puffy. It looks puffy. You can
Me
see the
too.
difference in your face just from one time, one night. And the studies now are coming out that it is more harmful than what we think, a glass
Yeah.
of wine here and there can do.
Yeah. I wonder, what are your goals now, Renee? Is it really just more of the same, or have you got some things that you're working towards?
I guess the big thing though is I want to spread the word, and I know that's why we're talking right now, and
Mm,
that's to me getting that message out. And I've said it before. It's like if I'm going to be so fortunate to feel this good and be this healthy at this age, that I need to share that with other people. There is so much to offer. We've got to let people know, and of all ages. And I always say, people. They give up on themselves way too soon. And I would just reiterate that is the case. And I like to say, no old speak, that's my little
mm,
saying. Um, oh, okay. And the no old speak, there's this word that I've learned, and you probably know it, neuroplasticity.
mm-hmm.
And that is like, whatever your mind thinks, it's going to tell, your brain, it's going to tell your body, and that could just cement whether you're going to be a positive person, good things happening, negative thing, how your body is going to react. No, no old speak, none of that stuff. You got to stop that because that is what destroys you. I think thinking you're old and saying, I just can't do this. I'm too
Yeah.
afraid. I'm too old. That's what people say. And I am so allergic to saying I'm too old that when people around me say it, it's like I just go, I want to get away from them. I mean, I don't necessarily, but I want to say no old speak, because you're just killing yourself. You're destroying your will to live. I mean, that's kind of strong, but it's the truth. So keep it positive. I just cannot stress that enough. And that's how I feel. I do not feel like I'm getting older at 73. Yeah, I have a few more wrinkles and all these little things. But I'm so not getting old. I guess that's how I feel. And that is something that can be learned. I don't think old. And I think that's the main thing that people need to remember. Don't think
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, well, you come across as a youthful, bright thing, I can tell you. And just listening to you there, I was thinking there are going to be these people that think, well, she's just an exception. That's the way she's made, and somehow it's easier for you. You've already made that start. It's too difficult for me. Um, and I mean, what would your advice be to somebody in that situation? Because I always think it starts with wanting to change. It starts with wanting to live a bigger life and do a little more and feel better in your own skin. And if you want it and you can start making a few steps, one step leads to another step.
I know there's people on my Instagram who follow me that keep saying, I wish I could do what you do. I'm, I just wish I could think that, you can, it's a
Mm-hmm.
choice. And I think try to take a little step. If you're just sitting on the sofa and you're not doing anything, but you want to, go walk, take a walk around the block, walk around your house, whatever little thing you can do to change. And, I'm a big believer in writing things down. Maybe you're not even going to get off the couch, but write down your goals. That helps too, physically writing them out. I have goals that I wrote from 40 years ago, or right after my son was, I still have those goals written down. But be kind to yourself, don't say negative things about yourself. No negative self-talk. But I do
Yeah.
have my days. Hey, I've been through a lot. There were times when I was younger that I was, just as, self-deprecating as the next person. But I would just say baby steps, baby steps. And people can reach out to me anytime. It's like if you reach out to me and you need some help, I will answer. If you're a pervert, I'm not going to answer. But yeah, and you have to want to do it, just like you said, Claire. Sometimes you have to get to the bottom. You have to get a
Mm-hmm.
belly full of awfulness before you're
Mm-hmm.
going to start. So some people haven't gone down far enough, is what I think too. And I would just say start with baby steps, write stuff down that you want to accomplish. They don't need to be big things, they can be big, but you find the little steps that make them happen. And you start with some kind of an action plan. Just do the least you can to get started. And I feel like once you start doing something and it becomes an everyday thing, 21 days becomes a habit if you do something for 21 days. Maybe you can't think that far ahead. Maybe I'm just going to do this today. I would say start with your health and fitness, walk some, get some, 3 pound dumbbells, 5 pound dumbbells, and start lifting those. Just something small.
Yeah.
And life can be good. Like there's tons of life left after 50. Just I'm a witness to that. You are too, and we're going to keep telling people that.
Oh, you certainly are, Renee. I have a final question. You talked about the more wrinkles, a few more wrinkles appearing and so on. And there's a real not divide. I think there's just a lot of questions sort of floating around at the moment about what good aging actually looks like, what it means to age well. Because you've got people who are in their 70s who are having cosmetic surgery and looking decades younger. I mean,
Hmm.
plastic surgeons can do incredible things now. And we forget, I think, sometimes when we see people like that on social media and so on, that just having a tight, taut, lifted face doesn't mean that the rest of you just follows and you're aging well. It
Hmm.
just
That's
means that
true.
somebody's done something really clever with your face. But I mean, how big, how do you get that balance really in your own life between, you feel great, you're super strong, you want the face to match it, but how far do you go with that? How far are you willing to go with that?
Well, I think that's a personal choice that everyone has to make. But I think people focus too much on the fact that making that change in your face is going to affect the rest of your life, just like you said. And if you're not feeling good about yourself inside, it doesn't matter. So
Mm,
I would say work on yourself and your self-esteem before spending the money on all that stuff, because
mm,
it's not going to fix your marriage or your job. It's not going to fix anything. It might fix the way you look, but if you're internally still sick or sad or unhealthy, that's just going to be a temporary fix. So
yeah.
I would just say that's why we have to work on ourself and our health and everything else inside. And I say if you want to do it, do it. I mean, I definitely, I'm a big believer in fillers.
Hmm.
I put that on my Instagram. If that stuff makes you feel better, do it. But don't think it's going to change your life, because it's not. Your life is only going to change from the inside out. Um, but yeah, if people want to do it and it makes them feel better and they're already in a positive mindset, then they should, it's their choice. That's what I would say. It's a personal choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're not here to judge either. Do what you feel is best for you. I have noticed though that you've got this wonderful like snap jawline, and I have a theory because I've been, there's some of the people that I follow on Instagram that are big into the fitness and working out and strong. I notice the same thing, and I wonder. I certainly hope so for myself. Though, if the weight training, I don't know whether it's all the gurning or just, straining the muscles in the neck or something, it has a tightening effect, does it not? What do you think?
Uh, I think I would say overall, when you're working out, it's going to help everything because people
Yeah.
say, oh, I've got saggy this and that. But overall, it's going to help. Hydrating. I mean, I drink a gallon of water a day. I think that helps a lot. Um, and I definitely think and there's red light therapy. That's another thing.
Love
I
that.
believe in that. I have a red light therapy mat now, and I just got one of the masks that looks
Mm,
scary, and that is proven. Doctors can, tell you that too. It's in the book, so check that out. And that's something I'm going to do for the rest of my life is red light therapy. Um, but I think you're right that it helps. Like people say, I have great skin, whatever,
me too.
and I mean, I do some skin treatments, but I
Yeah.
do believe that building the muscle, that helps me from having so much loose skin. And with your face too, I just think the hydration and every day, everything's gonna. It's like a combination of things. Okay, now here's another thing. Now, I mean, my neck. I can't even believe my neck looks that good. It's
It
like
really
I'm
does.
I
It's
mean, I,
it's
I can't believe I'm
incredible.
73. If I'm losing weight, like for a competition, I will get more saggy jowls. It's just the nature of the situation, right?
Yeah.
If you lose weight, you're going to have more sag. And how do you compensate for that? Well, I have to sort of live with some of that when that time comes. And right now, I'm kind of in between because I am competing in about 8 weeks. And I expect that I will get some more saggy jowls in here, and I won't like that, but that's kind of the price you pay for
Mm,
competing, and then that'll come back. Um, but I do think that's what it is. I think it's just everything you do over time that makes a huge difference, and that includes skin treatments. I mean, years ago I've had, oh, and I had indie med. I had some, what do you call, micro needling done
uh-huh.
over the past few months, and I posted it on my Instagram. And there's all kind of new therapies that can help you. Not everybody can afford that. Okay, that's cool. I mean, the only real skin stuff, I mean, I use oil of Olay. Okay. I don't use any of these hundreds of dollars. I mean, I just have a problem with that. So cleanse your skin, do some exfoliation, get some treatments you can afford. But the big thing is, I think working out is just going to make everything look better.
Yeah.
And just keep doing that. Use a lot of moisturizer and have a good attitude. And smiling is also more attractive than frowning. It's just that simple. So all of those things together, I think, make a huge difference.
Oh, Renee, you are the best role model, which is why I'm so happy that we had this conversation again. I had so many more questions after last time. Thank you so much for your time and for giving us all a lift. I needed some Renee in my life today, and it was it was just what the doctor ordered. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I mean, thank you so much for inviting me again. Like I said, I just feel like we've got to get the word out. It's never too late to get fit. It's never too late to change your mindset so you can feel better because you have so much life left to live. We have years more than we think. And it's just how we think and keep thinking positive, and neuroplasticity is going to make the difference.
Ah, thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
If you want to continue to be inspired by how Renee lives her best life in her 70s, you'll find links below in the description to her YouTube and Instagram platforms. And I'd love to hear what you've taken from today's conversation, so do let us know in the comments. And if this episode helped you, please give it a like, share it with someone who could benefit from it, and subscribe or follow for more honest content if you haven't already done so. You'll also find more information around healthy aging as well as skincare, including product reviews from me on my website, honest.scot. And you're going to find a link below that you can use to sign up to my monthly newsletter where I round up all my latest content so you don't miss out. And if you want more from the Honest channel, you'll find details in the description on how to become a member to access bonus footage and exclusive insights. But until next time, thank you for being here today.